Welcome guys, welcome to a video on sales, right? So what we're going to talk about today is how to turn prospects into paying customers. See, over the last 5 years, I've been into the whole online space. More specifically, into the last 3 years, I've been running my own agency. And what we have successfully been able to do is that my agency has generated over 150 crores in terms of, online sales generated. This is obviously for e-com brands. But still, there's an element of sales even there. And obviously for my own agency, we have crossed over 50 lakhs in terms of revenue. And actually we're going to end up almost at, 1 crore by the end of this year, right? So what I want to tell you guys is that, sales is just, sales is more than what meets the eye, right? There are a lot of different things going on. There's persuasion, there's, understanding psychology, there's presentation, there's authority. Like there are multiple elements going into sales, right? But how do you successfully convert a prospect into a client? Like right now, we are also building a software company, right? There we are taking sales calls and directly converting people. And you'll not believe it, the last 25 calls I've taken, we have almost successfully convinced 23 people to actually get onboarded onto our platform, right? Which is a closing rate which I'm not even sure how many people can get with their own businesses. So if you're an agency owner, freelancer, or you're just somebody who's involved in direct sales, this video is going to be really important for you. Now, what I want to tell you is that sales can be divided into three parts. Not a lot of people talk about this, but there are three parts in any sales cycle. Number one is pre-sales, second is the actual sales call, and third is post-sales, right? And all of these three stages are very important. So let's talk about pre-sales. So what happens, right? So let's take an example of an agency or a freelancing business, okay? So for example, you're reaching out to a prospect, okay? You are trying to do LinkedIn outbound, okay? We'll talk about two cases. So one is LinkedIn outbound and one is LinkedIn inbound, okay? Which might probably be because of you putting out content. So let's first talk about your outbound sales, okay? So in outbound sales, which is your pre-sales call we're talking about right now, you have curated a bunch of messages which you are sending out to people, correct? You're sending out to your target audience, right? Probably it is CEOs or founders of different brands or some service, right? So you're reaching out to them, you have a message which you're sending out. Now what happens typically is whenever you're sending out a message, especially outbound, this person might view your message and the first thing that they will do is go out and check out your profile or check out your website because they want to make sure that you're worth giving their time to, correct? So now what happens in this pre-sales sort of rituals, right, or this pre-sales period, you need to optimize other things apart from the actual message. You need to probably optimize your profile. If it's via LinkedIn, optimize your LinkedIn profile. If it is via email, optimize your website, right? If it is via Instagram, optimize your Instagram, okay? How do you optimize? Have a professional photo, have some relevant case studies or posts already on your platform, right? If it is going to be a website, make sure that you have good branding and good enough testimonials and good case studies on it. So pre-sales is probably even more important than what happens on the sales call, right? So this was step number one. Step number two, they have gone through your profile. Now you have everything checked out, you have made it very professionally. The second thing that will happen is they will probably book in a call. They might do this via directly telling you that, okay, hey, let's connect tomorrow, or they might do it via a Calendly message, right? Like a Calendly link, right? Where they'll be booking in a slot. Now, what you have to do is your job doesn't end there. Once somebody has booked in a call with you, you need to build authority. First of all, in an outbound sequence, your authority is comparatively lesser than an inbound sequence. Why? Because you are the party who has reached out first, right? People haven't actually come to you. So you need to make sure that you build authority before the sales call. Okay, how do you do that? You do that in a couple of ways. Number one, now that they've booked in a call with you, they have probably shared their phone number or their email with you. What I would recommend is that you have an email ready with your talking a little bit about why you do what you do, how do you do things, and a minor case study, right? You can also do this. I've had some mentors who have told me that you can also do this in 2 to 3 parts. So number one is a short introduction about what you guys do. Number two will be that a small case study, and number three would be just telling them that, hey, this call is going to be really valuable for you. We are going to find out if we are going to be a good fit, so come with a notepad and take some notes. Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to tell them all of these things? Because you're building authority. That is the biggest killer in most sales calls from what I've understood, all right? So this is your pre-sales ritual. Number one, as I said, optimization of your profile, optimization of your website. Number two, building authority via emails or SMSs, all right? So these are the two things that you need to do in terms of pre-sales rituals, okay? I'm going to keep this video very simple, very to the point, right? But this is like even implementing, a couple of pointers from this is going to drastically transform how you do sales. Now they're booked in a call with you. Now you're going to go and, they'll actually finally, they've read the emails. You can probably use, if you're, using Gmail, you can use a tool like Boomerang to actually track if these guys have read your email or not, okay? This is very crucial because now you know that, okay, they've gone through it. They know, your case studies, they know about your thing. So you know that, you can go with authority, all right? It's very important to do that. So Boomerang it's a free tool. So now comes the sales call. Now again, this would probably be your sales call, almost like a pre-sales ritual as well. If you have a service-based business, okay, or even if you have a software or something else, what you need to ensure is that you have some assets ready. Okay, what do I mean by some assets ready? You need to have, a couple of presentations ready, talking not about what you do, rather why you do it. Because see, everybody out there, most of the people, right, they're getting pitched the same thing. So what you need to ensure is that you're going there as an authority. Again, I'm using this word because authority is the most important thing in sales. So you need to tell them that, hey, we do this because, for example, if I'm telling you, right, so if I'm on the sales call, I'll tell them that, hey, we are a growth hacking agency. We have worked with so many clients, and we are very particular about who we work with. And there are three principles that we never, I would say, budge on, right? Number one is accountability for us. Number two is being data driven. Number three is creativity. And only if you resonate with these pointers can I take you ahead and show you what our exact process is to get you results. Once you try and build authority in this way, once you tell them why you do, not how you do things, but why you do things, that is the key, all right? So now you have to keep some assets ready for this purpose. You can use something like Miro boards, right? Or you can use something like MindMeister. Things like this, when you use things like this, it is going to help you with your, with your sales calls, all right? Now let's talk about the second pointer. Now they have come onto the, they've come onto the call, right? What you need to do is, remember this rule. You need to be speaking only 30% of the times. Your prospect actually needs to be speaking 70% of the times, okay? It's very easy to understand. I've seen that, like, especially when you're getting started, right? You have this tendency of blabbering a lot, right? But that, again, what does that do? It decreases your authority, okay? So you don't want that. So how do you make sure that, you only speak 30% of the times? It can only happen if you ask questions. Okay, now let's get to this whole sales call, right? What do you actually do in a sales call? There are three things that you need to do. Number one, ask questions. Number two, reiterate or reconfirm. And number three, stories. Okay, so let's talk about that. Now, people come onto the sales call. The first thing you do is give a short introduction about yourself, why you do things, right? Keep it very short. It shouldn't be more than a minute or 2 minutes, all right? And then you tell them that, hey, thank you for joining the call. I would love to know more about you, your business, your story, and why did you exactly book this call in the first place, right? Then they start telling them, they give a short introduction, they might tell you a little bit about what they do, right? Their brand or something. And then sometimes, they might not even tell you about, why they booked in a call. Or they might even try and, overpower you by saying that, before I get into that, tell me a bit about your pricing, tell me about your services directly. And you need to make sure that you stop them right there, okay? You need to have the guts to stop them right then and there, because they have come onto the sales call for a particular reason, and that reason is to understand about you, right? And what kind of things you do and why you do things, right? So just getting to the services or the pricing directly is going to be detrimental to your sales process, and they're never going to convert. So you tell them that, sure, I will get to that, but I would love to know more about you and your business first, to even understand that if we can be of help to you or not. I hope that sounds fair enough. They'll say, yeah, that sounds fair. Then you again ask them, okay, tell me, why did you book in a call with us? Then they'll tell you that, okay, this is the reason, this is the problem I'm facing in my business. and we are looking for an alternative. Then you tell them that, okay, sounds good, perfect. Let's elaborate a little bit on that. What about what has happened in the last 3 months, 6 months? What are the biggest struggles that you're facing with, right? Like for example, it was an e-commerce brand. You tell them that, okay, so what kind of revenue have you been doing, right? Or what kind of ROAS have you been getting for your brand? Right? Then they'll tell you that, okay, it was good, 4 to 5 months back, it's been dropping, right? And things like that. Then tell them, okay, I can understand, right? Then then you have to also come off as a party who has done their homework, right? I always advise you that before going on a sales call, try and do a quick research on the person who's coming onto the call. Go and check out their ads, go and check out their website, go and check out their products, right? You can ask them that, because why are you doing this? You're doing this so that you can ask better questions. Then you ask them that, okay, I saw your ads. I think you have only been trying out videos. Why haven't you tried images? Right? Has it worked for you? So then they say, no, we haven't tried it. Okay, you say, okay, got it, noted, right? Okay, before I talk about further, right, I think I've missed out a very important point, which is you need to always be taking notes. Why? When you're on a video call, you need to look like you care, you give a shit about them, okay? So whenever you're going on a call, this will also help you ask better questions when you're taking down notes while they're speaking, right? You need to look like a professional. So always take notes. So when they're talking to you about their videos, their images, right, keep taking notes that, okay, they haven't tried this or they have tried this, right? Because you can ask better questions. Talk about their website. Okay, I see that you're running these ads, and have you ever done a website speed check? Why don't you have this sticky header or sticky add to cart, right? Have you tried attention marketing? So the whole, if a call is going to go on for 45 minutes to an hour, the first 35 to 40 minutes should only be about asking questions and then trying to give them solutions to it. Obviously, don't reveal all your cards, right? Never do that, because otherwise there'll be no point. They'll just take and run away with it, right? So give them a little bit of suggestion that, okay, you could probably try this with your website, or you should definitely try out images, right? But you're not telling them, okay, try an us versus them image, or something like that. So ask them questions, ask them good questions, ask them in-depth questions. And what you'll see is that over a period of time, they will start, reciprocating. The more you ask questions, the more detailed questions you ask, the more they will reciprocate and tell you about their business. Why is this important? Because you remember that you were building these assets for your call. Now you can infuse their pain points into your own presentation. That's the key. All right. So if they tell you that, okay, we have never tried images or carousels. So now what you can do is, once the time comes of that question period has ended, you tell them that, okay, Rahul, I think, I've understood the problem, and I'm very sure that, our system that we have built can certainly help you scale up your brand to the levels that you want, right? So let me share my screen and let me show you what I have for you, right? And then you start showing the presentation, you can always tell them that, hey, when you start the presentation, then you can tell them that, okay, this is our process. We work on creativity, and as you yourself mentioned, right, you haven't tried out images and carousels. Is that correct? They'll say, yes, that's correct. So that is where we will be coming in. We'll be helping you with those images and carousels, right? So you remember that I told you about three things, right? So one is questions, number two is reiteration, and number three is stories, right? So you're done with the questions. Now comes the reiteration, right? So whatever problems, you remember you were writing notes, and you would remember that they were telling you things about their business. Now what you need to do is, at any given time, and as much as you can, try and reiterate their problems. If they say that if their ROAS was low, right, tell them, right? So we are going to try, Rahul, we're going to try this thing out, and it is going to help you solve your ROAS. ROAS is a problem for you, correct? They'll say, yes, correct, right? You tell them that, okay, we are big promoters of accountability, and you have been facing this with your current agency. Is that correct? They'll say, correct. Why are you doing this? You're doing this because you're building authority, number one. Number two, you're subliminally telling them that these are the problems that they face. Only once they understand that, okay, I'm facing these 15, 20 problems, and you're reiterating that again and again and again, that is a point in time and when they will be convinced about this whole thing. All right. So Step number one was questions. Step number two, reiteration via the assets that you've built, trying to be professional. Number three is stories. So once you have given them an understanding of why you do what you do, how you do things, now comes the final part of trying to close them, which is stories, right? Or rather, you can also call them case studies. You can tell them about a time when, a customer similar to them in the similar niche as them came to you with the same set of problems and how you help them go from one stage to the other, right? Now, if you don't have a lot of case studies, you will have to make them up. I understand, TK. It's not. I understand that you might feel that okay, is that being an imposter? But that really isn't. If you trust your, if you trust your process, if you trust the way you get clients' results, that's not going to be bad. An alternative way to do it is that you give them a hypothetical case study, right? You tell them that hey, if there was a brand like this, what I would do for them is that I will, make UGC videos for them, or I will go ahead and, I will make carousels for them or images for them. And then I would do this and then I would do that. Weekly calls I will take with them. I'll take them through different metrics. So even that will bring it all together, right? So now once you successfully do all these 2 to 3 things, now comes the final part, which is the ending of the call, or even you're transitioning into the post sales rituals, right? So they will finally ask you questions more about how you do things, about more case studies probably. And then what I've seen, a big problem with a lot of people, right, is that they're never able to actually close a sales call properly, right? What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that whenever you're done with it, right, many founders say that okay, just send me a proposal, right? So you don't want to get to that stage. You want to tell them that hey, I'll send you the proposal first. I would love to know if you have any more questions. They'll say no, yes, right? Then you tell them that okay, sure, before I send you a proposal, I would want to address, or I would like to talk about our retainer, right? You need to make sure that you mention your pricing on the sales call itself. Why? Because what happens is, I'm sure you would have faced this, right, that the sales call goes well, but when you send across a proposal, they never revert back. They ghost you completely. Why does that happen? That because you never talked about the pricing. You never talked about the elephant in the room, which is pricing, which is almost always the problem, right? Especially in India, pricing is a big problem, right? People are not into high ticket pricings, right? So you need to address that. So you tell them that okay, so before I'll send you across a proposal, our pricing is 25,000 rupees plus GST. They'll say that okay, right? So you ask them, you need to make sure, you tell them that hey, are you comfortable with that? They'll say yeah, I'm okay with it. I'll have to probably speak to my co-founder. Then what you need to tell them is, or rather what you need to ask them is that okay, sure, that sounds good, but what do you think your co-founder would say? Then again, you're asking deeper questions. Now they will say that okay, my co-founder might find this a little bit costly. Then you ask them, okay, understood, completely fair enough, tell me what pricing will suit you, right? Then they'll say that okay, no, I would want to work at 10,000 rupees, but you had quoted 25,000 rupees. So you tell them that okay, I can understand, but I can't do that. I can't do that because our services aren't as service level as these other agencies. We are doing and ensuring things which will help you take your brand to the next level. This is also the point in time when where you can probably have a guarantee that okay, if I don't get you results, next month I'll cut my retainer in half, but I'm very sure that we are going to get you results. That's why I'm not going to negotiate on this. Does that sound fair enough? Again, use these 3 magical words: sound fair enough. All right. So once you do this, now you have addressed all the problems. They know that okay, he's not going to budge, and now at least you know that what reservations they had, right? They might probably negotiate with you on the call, right? They might ask you that okay, hey, can you please send this to me, right? Or can you please bring it down to at least 20,000? There you go, right? You say okay, perfect, sounds good, we'll do it for 20,000 for the first month, right? And then you close the call. Now let's talk about the post sales rituals. Once your call has been ended, now comes the time of sending agreements and the proposals, right? So in the proposal, you need to make sure that it is a little bit personalized. Don't send a templatized version that you send to other people. Try and talk about, again, have a basic template obviously, but in 1 to 2 slides, talk about the pain points mentioned, right? Talk about the other things that we discussed, right? Like that you would have discussed on the call. Talk about what are the future prospects and how sure you are of getting them results, and then you send it across on email. and always try and take their phone number in, because you might have to call them and take a follow up there, right? So once you have send them a proposal, send them a text message that, hey, thank you for joining the call. It was lovely speaking to you. Hope the feelings likewise. And I've sent you across the proposals. Let me follow up with you on this and this date. One more thing that I would strongly suggest you do is that on the sales call itself, ask them that, hey, I'm sending you across a proposal, right? By when should I follow up? They'll say, if today is like Tuesday, right? You tell them, will Thursday 11 a.m. be a good time? Because now you're trying to get them to promise you something, and more or less, they will reciprocate, right? So you tell them on the call itself. So I'll take a follow up with you on Thursday, and we would love some clarity when I call you up that day, if it's a yes or a no, and we're open to discussing things further. Any questions at all, let me know, right? So post sales call, you have to tell them when you're sending the text message that, hey, I've sent across a proposal, and let's connect on Thursday 11 a.m. again and speak to you soon, right? And then you let it be. Then you just go ahead on Thursday 11 a.m., send them a text message. If they respond, well and good. Otherwise, call them up, right? Chances are that if you have been following all of these things in more in depth, right? If you have been following these things properly, the chances of conversion, if you were closing only 10% or 20% of clients, will probably go up to 50%, right? Or even 30 to 40% is good enough, at that level, because you're working on high ticket sales, right? So this is the sales process that I've been following. It has been working wonderfully well for me, right? If you want more details on how should you go about sales calls and how should you go about sales, you can always drop me a text or a DM on Instagram, and I would love to elaborate on this for you, right? So thank you so much for watching, guys, and see you in the next one.